Hello, Reading Corps members. We're going to give something different a try this month to send you some updates. So we'll see if we can get the technology to work. So bear with me. But first I want to say Happy AmeriCorps Week to you. This is a time of the year that AmeriCorps asks us to celebrate the service that you are all doing out there in the schools. We want you to know that we couldn't do this without you. We hope you've been having an enjoyable experience and that you are seeing the impact that you're making every day in the lives of students. So we have a warm-up this week, so that always makes it good as well. But again, thank you for what you do, and Happy AmeriCorps Week. You should each be receiving just a small token of our appreciation from all of us here at Reading Corps, and for your internal coaches to just thank you for your commitment and the work that you're doing. So to begin, I have just a couple of reminders. I'm going to be out of the office here at the end of March on maternity leave, coming back on May 18th. While I'm away, Alicia Bohl, who is the program coordinator in our Bismarck-Mandan area, is going to be reviewing timesheets. So if you see any corrections come through at her request, that is why. In terms of a point of contact for any other programmatic questions that you would more than likely send through me, especially if you're in Fargo, West Fargo, or Jamestown, if you want to direct those to Allie, I know she's the person you see most frequently anyway, so you might start there with her anyway. If you want to send them to her, and she'll filter them through and we'll make sure to get you a response, that would be great. I'm going to take you through a few end of the year reminders. We did go through them in January and I've sent out sort of a list, but it's also an encore, and I'll just go through it sort of quickly as that time frame is sort of approaching. As a reminder, we ask all of our tutors to serve into the second week of May, which you'll generally do because you're wrapping up benchmarking and all of those sorts of things anyway. But you have between that second week, after that second week of May until the end of the year, is sort of up to the discretion of you and your internal coach on when your last day will be, so long as you have met your hours and have completed all of your sort of Reading Corps duties. Students have been benchmarked, data is updated in EdSpring, all of those sorts of things. We'll leave it to you to determine exactly what your last day will be. You have until the 31st if you do need the hours to reach your 675 or your 450. And as a reminder, I do ask that you, or recommend that you go over maybe 10 or 15 hours, just if there would be something that would be at the end of the month that would get disallowed, some sort of error that you accidentally put in your timesheet, and we would have to remove it. If you do fall under the 675 or 450, you're not eligible for your education award, so it's always nice to have a little bit of a cushion. For most of you, that's not an issue, but I don't recommend stopping at exactly 675 or 450, which I've mentioned a few times. So keep that in mind as you sort of calculate those last couple of weeks. Knowing that the schools will be wrapping up any other interventions that they're doing, or that last week of school might be field trips, classroom parties, things like that. Know that you can assist as needed at the school. We don't expect you to be doing interventions that last day of school. It's likely that your students will maybe not be too excited about that as it is, and be hard to keep their attention anyway. So work with your internal coach on if you need the hours, things that you might be able to do that last week or so, and if you have questions, certainly let us know. So let me see if I can show you in Encore. Now we'll go through. My site looks a little bit different from yours, so just as a reminder, on the bottom of most pages should be this resource link. So you can click on it, and there's a number of items in here. If you do need any additional hours, some of those AmeriCorps trainings that I previously mentioned, this Life After AmeriCorps training, which is a hand-in, the AmeriCorps citizenship training, or this translating AmeriCorps onto your resume are all optional things you can do for some additional hours that you would turn into myself or Alicia. For those extra hours, there are instructions on each of the attachments. I did reload a few of them because we were having a couple of issues. So check those out. You do need to make sure and send them in prior to or during the month that you're requesting time on your timesheet, and there are directions about that. So keep that in mind. And then we're going to go to this end of year. Just take us back in here a second. Bear with me. Here we go. Okay, some items here for end of year. Reminder that all hours have to be done by May 31st, which we've talked about. You will schedule an exit appointment with either Alicia or myself to complete your paperwork, make sure we have everything done that you need in order to exit you and complete your education award information. If you need to meet with me, I have a doodle poll right here that you can go ahead and schedule an appointment. It'll take us 20 or 30 minutes as long as everything is done. In April or early May, you will receive a survey link, feedback on the program, some different things that Reading Corps likes to keep track of from members. Your internal coaches will also be asked to do a survey. We'll want to make sure that all of your student data is updated, your timesheets have been submitted and approved by your supervisor. You've completed your 2 days of service and the forms in Encore, and your 2 volunteer forms in Encore, which I will show you. 1 great story. And then in terms of the materials, your Great Leaps binder can leave at the school. Make sure your internal coach knows where it is at, because it will need to be reused next year. End of year evaluation is the same as the mid-year evaluation. So you and your coach can go through it, make sure you both sign it. The coach can either send Alicia or I a copy directly, or you may bring it with you to your meeting. And then remember, manual does not need to be returned. You can recycle it. They will be reprinted for next year. And so your exit appointment should occur after all of these things. So if you are not certain when you're going to finish your hours or all of these things, you can wait to schedule your appointment until that time. If you come to meet with one of us and your last timesheet hasn't been approved by your site supervisor, we'll not be able to have you fill out the paperwork, and I'll need for you to likely come back. So just keep that in mind. We'll have you fill out the exit form. I'll go through the My AmeriCorps portal instructions with you on that is how you will request your education award. And then for anyone who does have student loans that have been accruing interest over the course of the program, we will show you how to give you some information on how to make that interest accrual request that way. All right. So let me take you then into Encore and go back over. Let's see here. So there also is this document, directions, submitting volunteers' days of service in Encore. Last one here is hours management tool. That's a spreadsheet that you can actually figure out how many days you can look at the school calendar, figure out how many days are left in the school year based on your district, and then also plug in the number of hours you would expect to have each day, as well as any additional if you want to do new trainings or you have days of service less to do, and that will help you kind of figure out the remainder of your hours if that's something that you would like to double check on. So if we go into Encore, and wait for this to load here. We are going to go under the reporting section. find my patience. So wait for it to load. Kind of feels like maybe we're in Ed Spring. While we're on this page, just seeing if there's anything else we didn't cover. I think we got everything on there. All right, I have it up now. Let's see here. Okay, as I mentioned, you're going to go under reporting and submit service reports. My page looks a little different than yours. You should have these top 3 options here. So volunteer mobilization, which are for the 2 volunteers you recruit, great stories, and then the 2 civic engagement activities, which are your 2 days of service. So I'm going to start with great stories. We do ask that everyone submit 1 great story. As I've mentioned before, we have a number of grants with performance measures that we're reporting out on the impact on students, the literacy outcomes through the interventions you're delivering. Most of these grants also like to kind of move beyond the data and hear some of the actual impact that you're having on students as well. And so we submit these great stories, the warm, fuzzy things that you're seeing that are directly impacting students through your service. And so you can put your name, the date, this reporting period, and send a state commission. You can skip that for the most part. And then there's just a text box for you to fill in the information about your story. We like to have a little bit of information. We don't need a name, but you could say a 3rd grade boy that I'm tutoring, and then the story. And it can be about them reaching a goal that they had, them seeing the impact or having success, feedback from teachers or a parent if you hear about that. Something that just really will demonstrate the work that you're doing and that the students that you're tutoring are having success. It might be that they now like to read. It might be that they're excited to have warm, fuzzy outcome that you're seeing working with kids every day. So you can just go ahead and save it. That's all you have to do. And then going back, we will go into civic engagement activities. And that's going to be for your 2 days of service. And as a reminder, your 2 days, as AmeriCorps calls them, each just have to be 1 hour in length. They do need to be affiliated with one of the schools that we are serving kids at with Reading Corps. So it could be your school, which most members will do, or it could be one of our other schools. We are in every school in West Fargo, every school in Jamestown, and a majority of the schools in Fargo. And anything the school needs a volunteer for. Lots of PTA activities. Usually in the spring there are a few more. They might have a spring carnival, a field day. They may have a literacy night. Check with your internal coach or on the school calendar to see what options there might be for you. If you are concerned that you are not sure which activity you're going to do, please email me in the next week and a half and I can brainstorm with you. Another reminder is, again, it can't be anything that is a prohibited activity. For the most part, those are things directly political, religious, or fundraising in nature. The first 2 shouldn't be an issue because you shouldn't be exposed to those things in the school. Fundraising is more of a gray area, and again, if it's something that is an activity and the funds will go for something at the school, just don't be the person taking the money. You can help do most any other activities, if that makes sense. If you are unclear on any of that, just let me know, give me a call, or send me an email. So to get credit, You're going to add a new civic engagement activity. All right, so you're going to name it. You're going to give the date, the number of hours, again, at least one. The reporting period, if you haven't done it yet, it's going to fall into Q3. If you're not sure, just leave it blank. It should let you submit it. Please submit a description of kind of the who, what, where, when, and why. So which school it was with, what the activity was, what you did as part of that activity. So fairly basic in that regard. And you can go ahead and save that. And you do need to submit one form per activity. So that would be even if you did the same activity on 2 different days, I do still need the date of each and the hours that way. So you should have 2 of these civic engagement activity forms on file at the end of the year. All right, so the last one is going to be volunteer mobilization. And again, these are the names that are listed in Encore. So these are the 2 volunteers that you have recruited. And you have recruited for them to help you with one of your days of service activities. Both volunteers can go to one event, or you could bring one volunteer to each of the 2 events. The other option would be if you know someone who would be interested in learning more about Reading Corps, potentially being a tutor, you can have them come and observe you doing your tutoring work for at least 1 hour. Again, you need to make sure and get permission from your internal coach, make sure this person signs into the office, follows all of those protocols, and that they're okay with it. But that is another option. You could have one person do that and then another person do a day service activities, or they could have 2 people do an observation. They do need to be 2 different individuals, and they cannot be an AmeriCorps member. So AmeriCorps asks us to report on the number of leveraged volunteers, and that's why they have to be different and not AmeriCorps members. So you're going to add a new volunteer mobilization event, it says. And where some people get confused is if your volunteer comes to your day of service activity, you do actually need to submit a form for each. So you need to submit a form, 2 forms for days of service, and at least 1 volunteer mobilization form. If both of your volunteers come to the same event, you can submit 1 form and just make sure that you put all the information in that same form. Event name, again, give it a title, date. Duration is going to be 1 time. Reporting period, probably Q3. You can leave it blank. Impact area, if there's something that makes sense, go ahead and put it in there. If you're not sure, leave it blank. Number of volunteers, this one you need to fill out. It's probably going to be 1 or 2 unless you are an overachiever and have multiple volunteers beyond that. The number of hours served, make sure if you're filling out 1 form for 2 people, you do double the hours here. Because this form does total for us. So if it's 1 volunteer and it's 1 hour, or maybe they spend 3 hours, make sure you put the total number for this event. Number of volunteer opportunities created, you can just leave that blank. These last 3, disadvantaged children and youth, more than likely that's going to be blank. And then college students, that one is pretty easy if that describes whether you're a volunteer or a baby boomer. And then again, kind of the who, what, where, when, and why. Name of your volunteer, the activity that you completed together, where it was at, and what you did, and you can go ahead and click Save. So that is sort of the overview of those forms. I will be checking them when you come to exit. Do make sure that you fill those out if you have done either of those activities ahead of time. And then also remember, for your day of service activity, that will go on your timesheet as well. Make sure you count those hours, and they go under the additional service category. If you have questions at all, or again, if you're concerned that you don't have an idea on what you could do, please contact me, or in Bismarck, Mandan, and Hazen, Alicia, and we can brainstorm. I would not recommend leaving this until the last minute, because again, if you don't complete the days of service and the volunteer recruitment, then you're not eligible for your education award. All right. There we go. In terms of other reminders, benchmarking is going to be coming up. I'm sure that your master coaches will give you some updates as we get into that time. They may be following up with you specifically about certain interventions that they would like to see if perhaps they last observed you, or your internal coach observed you much earlier in the year and you weren't proficient at that time. They may ask you to show them that intervention again so that we can make sure that it's been proficient and just check off that way. They also might be contacting you with questions about any student data things. We are going to pull one of our big reports for performance measures for AmeriCorps at the end of this month, March 31st, so we want to make sure everything is updated no later than by the 31st, so that we can make sure that any exited students, new students are included in that report that will go out to AmeriCorps, and we'll gauge the progress of our program. We know you're all doing great work. We just want to make sure that it has been updated so that we can share that out. Other than that, I think that those are all the updates that I have for you at this point. Again, if you have any questions for me, if you could get them to me within the next week and a half or so, I would greatly appreciate that. Otherwise, I will include contact information in the email on who you can reach out to in my absence. And I think that's it. I hope that you all have a great week, and thank you all for your service. Looking forward to seeing you